I still remember that day clearly, not because something extraordinary happened on the outside, but because everything changed inside me. It was one of those days when the world feels heavier than usual, when every step forward feels forced, and every dream feels distant. I was walking through the city with my head down, lost in my own thoughts, replaying failures, missed chances, and words people once said that I pretended didn't hurt me. Life felt like a long road with no signboards, and I was tired of guessing which direction to take. At that point in my life, I believed effort didn't matter much. I had tried before and failed, tried again and failed harder. Each failure added another layer of doubt, until doubt became my comfort zone. I told myself that maybe some people are just not meant for big things, and maybe I was one of them. That belief settled quietly inside me, like dust on unused furniture, unnoticed but everywhere. I walked slowly, feeling invisible among thousands of people rushing with purpose. I stopped near a small roadside tea stall, more out of habit than hunger. The air smelled of dust and boiling water, and the noise of traffic blended with distant conversations. As I stood there waiting, an old man sat on the bench beside me. His clothes were simple, worn but clean, and his posture was calm, as if time had no authority over him. He looked at me for a moment, not in a judgmental way, but as if he could see something I was trying hard to hide. Without any greeting, he spoke softly and said that I looked tired, not the kind of tired sleep can fix. His words caught me off guard. I gave a small, polite smile, the kind you give strangers to end a conversation quickly. But instead of leaving it there, he continued, saying that he had once carried the same weight on his face. Something in his tone made me listen, even though I didn't plan to. He told me that years ago, he used to sit exactly where I was standing, feeling defeated by life. He had dreams too, big ones, but life didn't go according to his plans. He lost opportunities, made mistakes, and blamed himself for years. As he spoke, I noticed his eyes, not sad, not bitter, but peaceful. That confused me. Peace was the last thing I expected from someone describing so much loss. Then he said something that stayed with me. He said that the problem was never his failure, but the story he kept telling himself about it. He believed failure meant the end, when it was only a pause. He believed being slow meant being weak, when it only meant he was still learning. He laughed gently and said that life didn't reject him, it redirected him, but he was too angry at the detours to see it. I stood there silently, feeling like those words were aimed directly at me. He didn't know my story, my struggles, or my fears, yet it felt like he was reading my thoughts. He explained that most people quit not because they can't succeed, but because they decide too early who they are allowed to become. That sentence hit me hard. I realized how often I had decided my limits without ever testing them fully. Before I could respond, he looked at the road ahead and said that mindset is like a lens. If it's cracked, everything you see looks broken, even when it's not. He said that changing your life doesn't always start with changing your situation, but with changing how you speak to yourself when no one is listening. I had never thought about it that way. I had always been harsh with myself, believing it would make me stronger, not realizing it was slowly draining me. A few moments later, he stood up, adjusted his shawl, and prepared to leave. I felt an urge to stop him, to ask more questions, to understand how he reached that calm place inside him. But before I could say anything, he turned and smiled, telling me that one day, I would realize that my struggles were shaping me, not stopping me. He said the stranger who helps you most is often the one who reminds you of your own strength. And just like that, he walked away, disappearing into the crowd, leaving behind a silence that felt different from before. It wasn't heavy. It was thoughtful. I stayed there for a long time, replaying his words in my mind. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a victim of my circumstances. I felt like a participant in my own story, someone who still had choices left to make. That day didn't magically fix my life. My problems didn't vanish, and my path didn't suddenly become easy. But something subtle shifted. When I failed again, I didn't insult myself the way I used to. When things took longer than expected, I reminded myself that growth isn't a race. I started paying attention to my thoughts, catching the negative ones before they settled too deeply. Slowly, my mindset became less of an enemy and more of an ally. Sometimes, I still think about that stranger and wonder if he knows how much he changed me. Maybe he doesn't, and maybe that's the beauty of it. Some people enter your life briefly, say a few words, and leave, but those words echo for years. They don't change your world directly, they change the way you see it. And that makes all the difference. If this story resonated with you and you enjoy meaningful storytelling like this, please subscribe to my channel Inspired Paths and walk this journey with me.